Imagine for a second that you're looking out the window of a commercial airliner. Usually, you see the glittering lights of a city, the jagged peaks of a mountain range, or maybe just the contrails of another plane passing by. But what if you looked out and saw absolutely nothing? Just an endless, dark void for hours on end. Welcome to today's Explinger, where we're going to explore a real-world journey that crosses the absolute most isolated part of our entire planet. It's kind of chilling to think about, right? On a standard flight, we all have this subconscious comfort knowing civilization is just down below us. We feel connected, but the reality of crossing the emptiest place on Earth, it is entirely different. We're talking about a grueling 10-hour stretch where the view from your window remains completely unchanged. There is literally nothing but the silent, desolate, and seemingly infinite expanse of the South Pacific Ocean below you. No cargo ships, no tiny island nations, no other planes. Just your fellow passengers, and the deep blue void. Section 1. The loneliest flight route. Okay, let's dive into this. Out of the tens of thousands of commercial flight paths crisscrossing the globe every single day, the routes over the South Pacific Ocean are in a category entirely of their own. They are, without a doubt, the most terrifyingly lonely paths a pilot can navigate. The sheer scale of the water they cross is just hard to fathom, and the margins for error out there, practically non-existent. There are a couple of very specific flights that dare to skirt the edge of this massive oceanic expanse. For instance, LATAM Airlines Flight 800 makes the massive leap from Australia all the way across the ocean to Chile. And Qantas runs a similar ultra-long-haul route from Sydney directly to Santiago using a Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. These specific planes are flying right along the edge of the world's most remote geographic anomaly. Section 2. Point Nemo and Total Isolation. You see, these planes aren't just flying over open water. They are flying near a place of absolute, unyielding emptiness. A place so profoundly remote that it honestly feels like it belongs on another planet rather than Earth. We are talking about a location known as Point Nemo. Now, the formal technical term for this exact spot is the Oceanic Point of Inaccessibility, which quite literally means the absolute hardest place to reach in the ocean. It's the geographic center of nowhere. There's no landmass, no hidden reef, absolutely nothing. It represents the absolute maximum distance away from any dry land on the surface of our planet. The staggering reality of Point Nemo really boils down to a single number: 2,688. This location is exactly 2,688 kilometers away from the absolute nearest piece of land. No matter which direction you travel, north, south, east, or west, you have to cover over 2,500 kilometers of deep, turbulent ocean before you even see a rock jutting out of the water. Just try to visualize covering that distance with literally nothing around you. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Section 3. The 400 miles safety buffer. So, the crucial point is how they actually survive this, because you can't just fly a plane full of people into the literal middle of nowhere without a massive safety net. And when the natural environment provides absolutely zero safety nets, well, the airlines have to meticulously design their own invisible ones. Flights like LATAM 800 are given very specific mandatory navigational instructions. They must maintain a buffer of at least 400 miles away from the exact center of Point Nemo. They skirt the outer edges of the void, but they deliberately avoid flying directly over the bullseye. It essentially functions as an invisible fence in the sky that pilots are strictly forbidden to cross. Why? Well, if a plane were to fly directly over the center of Point Nemo and suffer a catastrophic emergency, the reality is pretty chilling. Because it's the ultimate point of inaccessibility, there is zero radar coverage out there. Zero. There are absolutely no ground stations to communicate with. And worst of all, an emergency distress signal sent from that exact location wouldn't even reach anyone in time. It would just vanish into the void. There are no rescue teams that could possibly scramble and reach a plane out there before it was too late. So that 400-mile buffer, it's literally the only thing keeping these flights within the absolute outer fringes of human reach. Section 4. Closer to space than land. And this brilliantly illustrates just how incredibly detached this area is from the rest of the world. When these flights are at the deepest, most remote part of their journey through the South Pacific, think about who their closest neighbors actually are. The nearest landmass is thousands of kilometers away horizontally. But if you look straight up, the International Space Station orbits the Earth at an altitude of roughly 400 kilometers. That means if you're flying your Point Nemo and something goes wrong, the absolute closest human beings to you aren't on Earth at all. They are the astronauts orbiting above you in space. Let that sink in for a second. You are closer to astronauts floating in the vacuum of space than you are to anyone standing on solid ground. Section 5. The Antarctica Emergency Option. Now, when you're flying the Qantas route from Sydney to Santiago, staying away from Point Nemo pushes the flight path incredibly far south. Like, so far south, in fact, that it introduces a whole new set of extreme, freezing challenges. Because this specific route brushes so incredibly close to the Antarctic coastline, traditional diversion airports in, say, sunny coastal cities are completely out of the picture. Instead, the literal last resort for an emergency landing is a place called McMurdo Station. Yeah, you heard that right. In a worst-case scenario, the pilots are aiming for an ice-bound scientific research station right on the frozen continent of Antarctica. And relying on McMurdo is a grim logistical nightmare. This isn't a permanent, bustling city. In the harsh winter months, its population drops to just around 200 people. They have a very small medical unit, but it's equipped for basic scientific outpost needs. Definitely not mass casualties. There is absolutely zero infrastructure to handle a massive commercial airline suddenly dropping out of the sky with 300 panicked passengers. Imagine the sheer chaos of trying to shelter, feed, and medically treat hundreds of people in one of the most unforgiving, freezing environments on Earth, with no proper hospitals or support systems. It is the absolute ultimate Hail Mary. Which brings us to a question I really want you to take away from this explinger today. Could humanity ever truly conquer the isolation of Point Nemo? We build incredible machines like the Boeing 787, we cross vast oceans in a matter of hours, and yet, when faced with the sheer scale and profound emptiness of our planet's oceans, we're still incredibly fragile. We have to map out invisible buffers, rely on astronauts as our closest neighbors, and just pray that we never have to execute an emergency landing on an ice sheet. The next time you look out of an airplane window, remember the void of the South Pacific and the incredible balancing act required just to cross it. Keep questioning the world around you, and I'll catch you in the next Explinger.